Hello guys, good day. Welcome to another video lecture in ACC 111, Financial Accounting and Reporting. In this lecture, we will be continuing our discussion about Introduction to Accounting. So previously, we have discussed the definition, concepts, and other principles that we need to follow in accounting. So in this particular discussion, we will be continuing to discuss all other topics that is included in your unit learning objective A that can be located to your self-instructional manual. So to start our discussion, we have here the accountancy in the Philippines. So we will be discussing and we will be knowing the founders of the accountancy profession in the Philippines. To start, we have Don Vicente Fabella. So Don Vicente Fabella is the holder of the first CPA license. So he is considered the first Filipino CPA, and he is the founder of Jose Rizal University in 1919. We also have Dr. Nicanor Reyes, founder and first president of Far Eastern University, started in 1928 as the Institute of Accountancy, which later became the Institute of Accounts, Business and Finance, and then registered as the Far Eastern University in January 31, 1934. So as we all know, FEU is the one of the prime universities in the Philippines. So actually, if FEU is one of the institutions who offered accountancy first in the Philippines. We also have Belen Enrile Gutierrez, the first Filipina CPA. So Belen Enrile Gutierrez is the counterpart of Don Vicente Fabella. So Don Fabella is considered as the first Filipino CPA, while Belen Gutierrez is considered as the first Filipina CPA in the Philippines. And she is also one of the 7 original trustees of FEU in 1933. We also have Jaime Hernandez and Pasiano Dizon. These two are the first and the second Filipino Auditor Generals of the Commission on Audit. So Commission on Audit is an agency of the government that do audit procedures to make sure that all the finances of the government are properly used for the welfare of the public. We also have the very familiar Mr. Manuel Villar. So Manuel Villar is the former Speaker of the House of Representatives and the former Senator of the Philippines, and is also considered as Filipino tycoon. So currently, Manuel Villar is the number one wealthiest or the richest Filipino in the Philippines. So again, Manuel Villar ran for presidency before, but unfortunately lost to Pinoy, if I am not mistaken. So currently, Manuel Villar is focusing on his business, which is popularly known as Camellia, and in other business ventures in real estate. Another is Washington Sisip. Washington Sisip is the past president of the International Federation of Accountants, or the IFAC, the only Asian who has held position, and founder and past chairman of SGV and Company. As you all know, or for your information guys, SGV and Company is one of the big accountancy and auditing firms in the Philippines. So SGV stands for Sisip Gores and Vilayo and Company. So SGV is one of the prime accounting firms and auditing firms in the Philippines. After Washington Sisip, we also have Jose Diokno, former senator of the Philippines and also a certified public accountant. Another founder of the accountancy profession is Alberto Romulo, who is also a former senator of the Philippines and executive secretary of the now Secretary of Foreign Affairs. Now let's move with Accountancy Act of 2004. Accountancy profession in the Philippines is supervised and governed by this particular Republic Act, which is known as the Republic Act number 9298, which is signed by the President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo last May 13, 2004. So this particular act replaced the then Presidential Decree number 692, the revised accountancy law, which was enacted in May 5, 1975. From just a mere Presidential Decree number 692, it was actually put into law by President Arroyo as Republic Act 9298. So this RA 9298 is commonly known as the Accountancy Act of 2004. So the practice of accountancy profession in the Philippines is governed by this particular Republic Act. Some of the specific provisions in that particular Republic Act is this Section 4, which constitutes the scope of practice of the accountancy profession in the Philippines. So if you would become CPAs in the future, you can practice in these four broad scopes, namely practice of public accountancy, practice in commerce and industry, practice in education or academe, and practice in government. So when we talk about practice of public accountancy, it means a CPA working for the public, which means their job is to create audit engagements to different private entities. While practice in commerce in industry, meaning if you are practicing your CPA profession in commerce in industry, you will be employed in a private entity. For example, as an accountant, as a controller, or as finance associate. So, example, if you will be working in malls and other private establishments. So as long as you are working in a private establishment, then therefore you are practicing in commerce and industry. The third one is practice in education or academe. So obviously, if you are a CPA in education or academe, you are perpetuating the profession. So you are helping the dreamers of becoming CPAs. So just like us, we are practicing our CPA license in the academe. And lastly, practice in government. So practice in government, these are CPAs who are working in the government, from the local government units, from municipal, from barangay, municipal, and provincial local government units up to the national government. So if you are working as a government accountant or government auditor, then therefore you are belonging to the practice in government. The Professional Regulatory Board of Accountancy and its composition includes the BOA. BOA is the Board of Accountancy. So BOA means Board of Accountancy. Under the supervision and administrative control of PRC shall be composed of a chairman and 6 members. So meaning, Board of Accountancy, sila ang nag-supervise sa accountancy profession in the Philippines. They are also the one who creates the CPA board exam questions. So sila ang nag-create sa board exam questions. So BOA consists of 6 members and a chairman. So 7 tanan ang member sa BOA. 6 ka members and isa ka chairman. Again, ang function ni BOA is to administer the profession of accountancy in the Philippines, and they are also the one who is responsible for making board exam questions to be taken by graduates of accountancy before they could practice their CPA license. BOA is actually appointed by the President of the Philippines from the list of 3 recommendees for each position and ranked by the PRC from a list of 5 nominees for each position. It's actually submitted by the Accredited National Professional Organization of CPAs, which is considered the professional organization of the CPAs, which is the PICPA. PICPA stands for Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountant. So before ka mahimong BOA, you shall be recommended by the PRC and and to be accredited by the Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants. The Board of Accountancy would also be electing a vice chairman from among its members for a term of 1 year. So that means from the 7 members of the Board of Accountancy, isa ka chairman, isa ka vice chairman, and 5 ka members. So that constitutes the Board of Accountancy. We also have Section 6, qualifications of members of the Professional Regulatory Board. So must be a natural-born citizen and a resident of the Philippines. Must be a duly registered CPA with at least 10 years of work experience in any scope of practice of accountancy. Must be of good moral character and not being convicted, and must not have any pecuniary interest directly or indirectly in any school conferring an academic degree necessary for the admission to the public practice. So meaning, if you are currently a teacher or you are connected to a school, or if you are a dean of a particular accountancy school, you will not be admitted as part of the professional regulatory board. You cannot be a member of the board of accountancy. So if you are connected in the public practice, or if you are connected in the academe, then you will not be admitted as part of the Board of Accountancy. So currently, kung gusto ka mahimong BOA and then you are connected sa public practice or education, kailangan sa nimo mag leave of absence. And then magbalik lang ka kung dili na ka BOA. Because once na nakay connection, interest directly or indirectly to any school, conferring an academic degree necessary for the admission to the public practice, then therefore you will not be considered as part of the BOA. Okay, let's talk about this time Certified Public Accountant examinations. How are you going to qualify sa exam? Because before you can take the Certified Public Accountant Board exam or the BLECPA means Board Licensure Examination for Certified Public Accountants, you must first be a Filipino citizen. If you are not a Filipino citizen, you cannot take the CPA Board exam. Second, you should have good moral character and a holder of Bachelor of Science in Accountancy conferred by school, college, or institute duly recognized by CHED. So therefore, from the 3 programs of the department right now, Bachelor of Science in Accountancy, Bachelor of Science in Internal Auditing, and Bachelor of Science in Management Accounting, only those graduates of Bachelor of Science in Accountancy can take the CPA Board exam. So, ang BS Internal Audit and BS Management Accounting, they will have their own separate international certifications, but they cannot take the CPA Board exam. Another has not convicted of any criminal offense resulting to moral turpitude. So that means you should not have any criminal offense recorded. Because if you have some, you will not be admitted by the Professional Regulatory Commission to take the board exam. So we have the scope of examinations. So before, there are 7 board exam subjects, namely theory of accounts, business law and taxation, management services, auditing theory, auditing problem, practical accounting 1, and practical accounting 2. So again, in the old curriculum, there were 7 CPA board exam subjects. However, currently, that 7 was compressed into 6 board exam questions, namely, Financial Accounting and Reporting, Advanced Financial Accounting and Reporting, Management Accounting Services, Taxation, Regulatory Framework for Business Transaction, and Auditing. So from 7 before, nahimot na lang siyang 6. However, in these 6 subjects, still covers all the topics from that 7 subjects. Naalay uban nga gipang compress in a single subject. So again, after taking accountancy, you will be engaging yourself into a government exam before you can practice your CPA license publicly. So you need to pass financial accounting and reporting, advanced financial accounting and reporting, management accounting services, taxation, regulatory framework for business transaction, and auditing before you will be given a CPA license and be admitted in the profession. Okay, let's talk about rating of licensure exams. So, dili necessary na ang every subject ang pasaron, but at least naakay average of 75% and na meet ni nimo ang mga considerations. So, first, we have the candidate must obtain a general average of 75% with no grades below 65% in any given subjects. So, para makapasar ka sa CPA board exam, dapat na kay average nga 75 sa tanan from that 6 subjects. And dapat walay grade below 65. Walay grade below 65. Another, in the event of a candidate obtains a rating of 75% and above in at least majority of the subjects, he or she shall receive a conditional credit for the subjects passed. So for example, from that 6 subject, okay, again, for example, in the event of candidate obtaining the rating of 75% and above in at least majority of the subjects, so pila man ang majority sa 6? So, di ba, upat. So, kung naka 75 and above ka sa upat ka subject, so you will be given a conditional credit for the subjects passed. So, for example, gikan sa unom nga subject, upat lang imong napasaran tapos nabagsak ang duha, you will be having a conditional rating. So that means, ang napasar nimo nga upat, mapasar na, passed na. Pero ang duha, kailangan nimo i-retake. So ang tawag ana is conditional passed. So dapat, pag na-conditional passed ka, kailangan nimo balikan og exam ang duha ka subject nga wala nimo napasaran for the next 2 years. So kung dili ka makatake og exam for that 2 subjects within 2 years, fully bagsak na gyud ka. Pati tong upat ka subject nimo nga napasar, tapos wala nimo na examan ang duha ka remaining subject nimo for the last 2 years, then that will now be considered failed. And another, if the candidate fails to obtain 75% and at least 65% rating of the subjects re-examined, he or she considered failed the entire examination. However, gikan didto, kung na-exam ka sa duha nimo ka subject, na-exam ka sa duha, let's say you have re-examined the 2 remaining subjects katong wala nimo napasaran before, and then you failed to obtain 75% and at least 65% rating of that, then the exam will be considered as failed. So, okay, again, recap, before you could, before you will be given a pass rating, the candidate must obtain a general average of 75% with no grades below 65 in any given subjects. In the event of a candidate obtains the rating of 75% and above at least majority of the subjects, he or she shall receive a conditional credit for the subjects passed, and the candidate shall take an exam in the remaining subjects within 2 years from the preceding exam, and if the candidate fails to obtain 75% and at least 65% rating of the subjects re-examined, he or she will be considered failed the entire examination. Okay, so the report of rating shall the board shall submit to the PRC the ratings obtained by the candidate within 10 days after the exam. So, dali lang ang result. For example, nahuman ka today, nahuman ang yung board exam today, then after 10 days, mag-release na ang results. Failing candidates to take refresher course, Section 28. If a student or if a candidate fails in 2 complete CPA board exam, he must take refresher course and enroll 24 units of board exam, board subjects. For example, i-take ka og board exam, ikaduha na, tapos wala pa kaning pasar, so kailangan nimo mo eskwela og balik for 24 units. Kailangan nimo mag-take og refresher course and enroll 24 unit board exam subjects. Okay, so let's discuss the CPA Code of Ethics. So, a distinguishing mark as professional accountants whose responsibility is not exclusively to satisfy the needs of client or employer. In acting the public interest, a professional accountant should observe and comply with ethical requirements of the code. Professional accountant is an individual who holds a valid certificate issued by the Board of Accountancy, whether in public practice, industry, commerce, public sector, and education. So again, in our previous discussion, we have already established facts that our profession can really be facing some ethical dilemmas. And again, in solving problems, we should always consider our code of conduct as a certified public accountant. So this time, we will be talking fundamental principles in accounting. So first, we have integrity. If you are a CPA, we should be a man of integrity, straightforward and honest in all professional and business relationships. So we should not allow influence, and we should consider black as black and white as white. We should be honest in all aspects in practicing our profession. Another is objectivity. Objectivity should not allow bias, conflict of interest, or undue influence of others to override professional or business judgments. So, if there is loss, then therefore, we should really report that as a loss. We should not be pressured by the management if they would say that accountant, you need to make sure that our financial statement should look good in order for us um to pass in the qualifications to grant a loan. So for example, giingnan ka sa imong boss nga, oy accountant, kailangan dili makita sa atong financial statements ang loss. So dapat we should not do that because again, it's one of the fundamental principles in the accountancy profession ang pagiging objective. Even your boss should not influence your professionalism. Another is professional competence and due care. Professional competence and due care has continuing duty to maintain professional knowledge and skill at the level required by his client or employer based on current developments in practice, legislation, and techniques. So professional competence and due care, so this means that we can only practice what we know. We cannot practice if we are not expert in that profession. So again, since nakapasar man ka og CPA board exam, then therefore that is one of the manifestation that you are competent in the field of accountancy. But again, passing the board exam is not enough. So we need to engage ourselves into a continuing professional development. So that is why as time passes by, we need to attend seminars and other trainings in order for our competence to advance. Another is confidentiality. We should respect confidentiality of information acquired as a result of professional and business relationships and should not disclose any such information to third parties without proper and specific authority unless there is a legal or professional right to do so in disclosure of those information. So again, when we talk about confidentiality, the records of the business or the records of our clients should remain confidential. We should not divulge it to any other third parties except if there is a subpoena or a legal professional right upon disclosure. So dili pwede iingon sa, for example, magkita mo sa inyong mga friends and you are a client of this company. Dili pwede na you will be sharing whatever information, business information from that entity to even your friends or family. Another is professional behavior, meaning we as accountants should comply with relevant laws and regulations and should avoid any action that discredits the profession. So again, we should follow rules, relevant laws and regulations in order for us not to discredit the profession. So we are guided with different rules and regulations. So therefore, we should adopt that guidelines in practicing our profession para we will not stain the accountancy profession. We would not be discrediting the accountancy profession. And take note na dili basta-basta ang mahimong CPA and then magbuhat lang ka og mga binuang unya. Take note pag pagtag na ka as CPA nga bulakbol or CPA nga dili honest and dili man of integrity, then wala nay mo dawat or mo hire sa ato as an accountant, and that could also a reason para mawala ang ato ang lisensya as a CPA. So sayang lang ang ato ang efforts nga gigahin para mahimo tang CPA unya magbinuang lang ta, and then that pagbinuang nato pwede nga mahimong rason nganong mawala ang ato ang lisensya to practice accountancy in the Philippines. Now let's talk about professional organization. The professional organization of CPAs in the Philippines is called PICPA. So PICPA meaning Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants. So again, PICPA is an organization of all CPAs in the Philippines. So mao ni ang organization sa tanan accountant, tanan mga nakapasar sa board exam in the Philippines. So it's an integrated national professional organization of CPAs in the Philippines accredited by Board of Accountancy, BOA, and Professional Regulation Commission. So member ani ang tanan CPAs from different four sectors. So bisan nagtrabaho ka sa public, nagtrabaho ka sa government, nagtrabaho ka sa academe, and nagtrabaho ka sa commerce and industry, you can be a member of this organization because you are a certified public accountant. Now let's talk, on the other hand, accounting standards in the Philippines. So accounting standards, these are the standards that we follow in making financial statements or in preparing financial information. So we have the Accounting Standards Council, ASC. ASC is founded on or was founded on November 18, 1981 by PICPA to establish and improve standards that will be generally accepted in the Philippines. Now, what is the reason why we need to follow standards? The reason is that to allow comparability and uniformity across the industry. So, para we will be guided on how are we going to prepare, and the financial statements that is being prepared by the CPAs of every entity can be compared from that of the financial statements from other entity of the same industry. ASC is composed of 8 members, 4 from PICPA and 1 each from SEC, from PRC through BOA and Financial Executives Institute of the Philippines or FINEX. Another is FRSC or the Financial Reporting Standards Council. FRSC is connected with Republic Act number 9298, known as the Philippine Accountancy Act of 2004 as mentioned earlier. The FRSC shall become the new accounting standard setting body replacing ASC. So from ASC before, napulihan na siya og FRSC. Again, from ASC, napulihan siya og FRSC. So again, from 8 members of ASC, nahimo na siyang 15 members of the FRSC. FRSC is composed of 15 members with a chairman. So 16 sila tanan, 15 ka member ug isa ka chairman. 15 members with a chairman. So 15 lang pala. 14 ka members ug isa ka chairman who had been a senior accounting practitioner, and 14 members from BOA, SEC, BSP, BIR, COA, Accredited Professional Organization of CPAs or the PICPA, and other organization composed of preparers and users of FS. Basta, again, FRSC is replaced by, or FRSC replaces ASC. So from 8 members of ASC, naging 15 members na ng FRSC. Now, let's move with the core competencies framework for accountants. New CPAs need to have core competencies in order to successfully face the challenges of today's changing environment and the future. So, as a student, we should not focus on passing the CPA board exam, but we should also consider to acquire competencies required to meet the demands of our profession in the future. So, dili lang ta maningkamot para makatuon to pass the board exam, but rather maningkamot pud ta para we could acquire necessary skills nga kinahanglan sa atong sa ato ang CPA profession in the future. So let's start with knowledge. So knowledge in first, general knowledge. We should be knowledgeable. That means we should know the recent na mga activities, the recent happenings that could possibly affect the accountancy profession. Another is organizational and business knowledge. So, ito, in our previous discussion, we have identified that business is really related to accounting and vice versa. So, therefore, we as an accountant should at least have a minimal understanding of the organization and business knowledge because, again, we are working, particularly if you will be choosing to land a job in commerce and industry or in private industry. So that means you need to at least have minimal na understanding about business knowledge. We also have need to have knowledge in information technology because right now we are in an era of technology. So that means all, if not majority, if not all of the accounting procedures in preparing financial statements is already integrated with technology. So as time passes by, again, we as an accountant should at least abide with that change in technology. And lastly, obviously, we should have great knowledge in accounting because um, obviously, you cannot pass the CPA board exam if you don't have proper knowledge in accounting. How about skills? So you should have intellectual, interpersonal, and communication skills. We should not only be a man of intellect, but we should also consider having a skill of um, communication. We should be able to communicate the financial statements that we have prepared. So again, these three IIC, intellectual, interpersonal, and communication. And for values, again, we should be guided as a professional with our moral values and professional ethics. So the accountancy profession qualifies as profession because all CPAs all our CPAs earned a Bachelor of Science in Accountancy and have passed the CPA Licensure Board exam. CPAs have their own body of language. CPAs adhere to the Code of Ethics. This is very important. And CPAs are members of national organization, which is the Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountant. So again, let me just remind you of the career path that we could take if you would become CPAs in the future. So first, we have public practice. Public practice meaning you will be auditing institutions, whether they are preparing financial statements based on the standard. So, mao na ang trabaho ni public practice, mag-audit, tanan mga auditor. sa mga financial statement, sila ang nag-audit whether ang FS nga ginabuhat sa mga CPAs ni Commerce in Industry are in accordance with the current standards. So again, pag commerce in industry ka, ikaw ang tig-prepare ng financial statement sa mga business enterprises. Pag naka sa public practice, ikaw ang nag-audit sa mga FS ni commerce in industry whether these FS are prepared in accordance with the standard. Another is in government service, government practice. So if you would like to become a a public auditor in the Commission on Audit or a accounting practitioner in BIR, in Bureau of Internal Revenue, in Department in Budget and Management, and other government agencies. So, kung gusto ka mahimong accountant in the government, then you could be under government industry or government sector. And lastly, if you would like to become a teacher or a professor in higher educational institutions, then you will be um, following the path of education and academia. Okay, the last topic for this lecture, branches of accounting. So we have a lot of branches in accounting. So aside from the career path na 4 sectors, we also have numerous branches of accounting. So to start, we have auditing. So as mentioned earlier, this is an external audit examination that ensures the fairness and reliability of the reports that management submits to users outside business entity. So, si auditing, it's an act of examining the financial statements prepared by the financial accountants, whether katuban ng mga financial statements are prepared in accordance with the current standard. Second, bookkeeping. It means mechanical task involving the collection of basic financial data. So, bookkeeping includes the day-to-day recording of transactions. Another is cost bookkeeping, costing, and cost accounting. Recording cost data in books of accounts. So usually, kaning cost bookkeeping, costing, and cost accounting, this is a branch of accounting that is related in manufacturing industry, wherein all cost that is incurred in manufacturing a particular product will be recorded accordingly. Another is financial accounting. As mentioned earlier, financial accounting is focused on recording transactions and periodic preparation of reports. Ikaw prepare ng financial statements if you would like to venture financial accounting. Another branch is financial management. So when we talk about financial management, it is responsible for setting financial objectives, making plans, obtaining finance, safeguarding the financial resources of the entity. So when we talk about financial management, you will be managing the finances, whether we have enough finances or kulang to be used in the day-to-day operation of the entity. So it's your job. Kung kulang, it's your job nga mangita og sources, mangita og funds. Pwede ka mangutang or pwede ka mag-issue og imuhang own shares. Pero kung sobra naman ang imong funds, ikaw pod ang responsible para to make sure nga ang kanang excess funds will still be earning. Whether you will be investing that excess funds or you will use that into your expansion. Another is business accounting or management accounting. Management accounting incorporates all type of financial and non-financial information from wide range of resources. So when we talk about management accounting, you will be collecting data to be used in making management decisions. So ang information nga ma-derive under management accounting is only for internal purposes. So dili siya maabot sa gawas ang mga reports ni management accountant, only for the use of the managers para makakreate sila og mga strategies, makakreate sila og mga decisions to make sure nga ang objectives ni entity are ma-meet or in order para sa business nga mulago. That is management accounting. Another, we have taxation. It's the preparation of tax returns and the consideration of tax consequences of proposed business transactions or alternative courses of action. So if you would become a tax accountant, you will now be focusing your attention on the preparation of income tax returns. So, ang gina-prepare nimo sa taxation is not financial statement but rather income tax returns. Income tax returns and other tax returns of business entities and individual taxpayers. Another is government accounting. So government accounting concerned with identification of the sources and uses of resources consistent with the provisions of the city, municipal, provincial, or national laws. So if you are an accountant in the government, you should make sure that all disbursements in the government, all the disbursements of the resources of the government is under the provision of the city, municipal, provincial, or a national law. Because kung nigasto ka og government funds na it's not allowed pala, then therefore, you will be called by the Commission on Audit. You will be called to explain why you have used that fund where in fact you are not allowed to use that fund. So again, in government, dili basta-basta mag-disburse og mga funds. You need to disburse it accordingly based on a specific provision of a law, whether it's a city, municipal, provincial, or a national law. So again, those are the topics that comprises your unit learning objective A from the discussion of the different definition of accounting, but again, only gives us a single meaning of accounting, which is to provide financial information which is useful in making decisions up to the different branches of accounting. Once again, if you would like to have more references, you may refer to the books of Balyada and Lopez. Credits to the Self-Instructional Manual of Professor John Lear Peter Yon and presentation from Professor Mary Chris L. Lazada, CPA. So after viewing this video lecture or after browsing this video lecture, I hope that you got something. And if there are queries and clarifications, we will be answering that in our Zoom meeting next time. Okay, so thank you very much for your time and see you in our next video lecture. Goodbye.